Hey, what's up everybody? As you saw in the last episode, the engine is dead. And just before that happened, before the mechanic had come out and did the compression test, that I realized that, I thought things were going pretty well, so I decided to splurge and I ordered new sails. So the beginning of this episode is going to be about that process and yeah, then the engine. Today I ordered new sails from Precision Sails. They're out of Victoria, Canada. Yay, Canada. And I also ordered a new boarding ladder. This boat has sails that are at least 25 years old, if not older, so they're pretty worn out. The staysail itself is not usable at all. I'll be able to keep the other sails as spares if I really need to. I did have some minor repairs done, and I'll be able to use those until the new sail arrives. The boarding ladder will act as a swim ladder. The boat currently doesn't have a way that I could get back on board if I actually decided to go swimming right from the boat, which although right now in February I don't want to do, but when it's warmer weather and I'm in the Sea of Cortez, I'm definitely going to want to do. There is a boarding ladder at the back of the boat off the transom, and that is for when getting on and off the dinghy when the dinghy is on the davits. I had that ladder refurbished. There was some problems with some welds, so I had them beefed up, and it's really good to go now, but it still wouldn't make a great ladder for getting on and off the boat if I was in the water. So this will make a great addition to the boat and make it easy to get on and off the boat from the dinghy, as well as when it's when I'm swimming in the water. So looking forward to that, and the new sails especially. This is the first part of the process. Now I need to go through and actually use their measurement tools, as well as I can view the invoice, which is going to be crazy. But these prices will probably change as I get the actual proper measurements in. We were just kind of guessing at the time. But yes, I need to go through the measurements, and then I'll be able to start working with the sail designer and getting some new sails done. Beautiful morning here in the San Diego Bay, and I'm going to start taking all the measurements that I need to send off for the new sails up to Precision Sails in Victoria. There's a bunch of different measurements that I need, and I need to do it for each one of the 4 sails that I have. Some of the measurements I need of the boat, on the boat itself, for example, the height of how far the halyards go, the boom lengths, things like that. I also need to take the sails ashore and measure the existing sails as best as I can, as well as take photos of the boat with the sails up and the sails down. That helps them get a better idea of the layout of the boat and how all things will match. So there's a form that I need to fill out for each of the 4 sails. They provide a nice PDF document which gives me clear indications of all the measurements that I need to take for each one, and then I can upload these to their site once I get all the information keyed in. I'm just going to use Adobe Fill and Sign to be able to actually enter the data in here, because I do not have a printer on board, so I can't print this out. Along with the more obvious kind of measuring tools, like I'm going to be using a tape measure, as well as one of those roll-up type long 100-foot tape measures for being able to get all the way up to the top of the mast and such. One of the other tools, it's actually going to be a drill bit set, because I need to measure diameters of things. So for example, here my forestay, the inner forestay for the staysail, I need to measure the diameter because it's a Hank-on sail. So I'm going to actually use drill bits to be able to figure out the actual diameter of it. Some military ship is coming in and telling people to get the hell out of the way. These sails are a good 25 years old at a minimum. Lots of rust spots, stains. I did have them basically repaired so that I can use them as a spare set. So I had to take an extensive array of measurements, including things like the max hoist, the length of the boom, the length of the mast, even from the distance from the water line to the base of the mast. Then I had to take the sails to shore and lay them flat for measuring them. Thankfully, my friend Tim from the neighbor boat Felicita came over and helped me. I ended up having numerous phone calls with Precision Sails, and they were awesome to work with. And in the end, we have now a brand new sail design plan, and they're off for production. So it's been a mixed week this last little bit. I ordered new sails, which is fantastic. I've been working with Precision Sails out of Victoria, and they're going to have sails probably ready in about 4 to 5 weeks for me. Got all the design process and all the measurements and everything done earlier this week, so that's fantastic. But at the same time, I found out that my engine is dead. That I'm going to need to have the engine pulled out, and I've sourced a new engine. But yeah, that's certainly $8,000 I wasn't expecting to suddenly have to fork out, and that's just for the engine itself. By the time it's all said and done, it'll probably be about 10 or 12 grand, I'm not sure. So yeah, so I'm still not going anywhere. I've been on Lost Pearl for what, almost 2.5 months now, and I haven't gone anywhere. So yeah, it sucks. So this motor is dead. It's a harsh reality that I've had to face. I had to make some tough decisions because I'm going to run out of money if I'm not careful. Because I'm certainly not making any more, and this is going to be a costly fix. Seeing as the motor's dead, my options were to rebuild it. The parts were fairly cheap, but I don't think it's something that I'd be able to do very well here on the boat, although it would be feasible. I've decided to go with getting a new motor. That way I get not just brand new insides, but also brand new starter, brand new fuel pump, all of those kind of things as well. Before I start tearing anything off, I'm going to start documenting the motor. I'm going to be taking a lot of photos, especially with the wiring. I'm going to trace the wires to make sure I know what each one actually does. Then I'm going to take off all the marine parts, such as the heat exchanger here, this oil cooler, the system up in front here. All of that kind of stuff needs to come off, as well as disconnect the transmission, those kind of things. Those are parts that I'll keep for the new engine, and then I'll be able to get a hoist and move this one laterally out of the way, and then they'll get hoisted up and out through the hatchway and a new one dropped in. Before I drop in the new engine and with the old one out, I'm going to work on the engine room itself, clean the bilge, maybe paint the walls, add in some new soundproofing, do some rewiring and looming to make sure that everything is nice and neat as possible, because I'm only going to get one chance, I sure the hell hope, to have the engine out of here and have all that access. I'm lucky that this engine bay has so much clear room. I mean, the camera is placed on the opposite side of the boat, and there's access from that side, access from this side, and then both sides have access from above. So I'm lucky with that. But yeah, the next few weeks are going to be pretty dirty and grimy, and at the end of it, then I'll have a brand new motor. First thing I'm going to do for the engine is to be removing the fluids. I'm using this vacuum pump, seeing as it's difficult to get into the engine to drain it, and I'm just going to be sucking the oil out through this little tube, and then I'm also going to be draining the coolant fluid, which is mostly in here, and it goes down through a heat exchanger down at the bottom, so I'll be draining it from there as well. So I managed to suck the oil out. It takes a little while through this little tube, but I got it out, and now I'm going to do the coolant. Best way that I can see, I believe the lowest point is down underneath here, so I'm just going to this empty bottle or empty can here, and then I'm with this hose, and it's be able to hook it up as I pop the drain off, and hopefully that works. So I'm labeling all these parts as I take them off, for especially the ones that are not going to be obvious, so that I will hopefully try to remember what the heck, what went where. I'll also be taking a photograph, so like with this one, it's this little connection hose going between the water pump and the heat exchanger where the seawater runs through. I'll just be labeling parts like that and taking a photo so I can remember how it assembled, because this part will stay here and get transferred to the new engine, whereas the new engine will have its own water pump and things like that. So hopefully these connections will be in the same orientation. If not, I mean, we'll just need a little bit of a different hose, but I mean, the water pump is in the same location. Now it's quite possible we'll get new hoses and things, but at least then we'll have a template to go from. Because of course, who knows? Oh man, this is dusty. how long it's been since this hose was even off of here. The boat's about 40 years old, so it's quite possible the hoses are too. Now, the alternator goes back with the engine. Don't really need to take it off, but it's going to be easier to get these belts off, give me access to other parts of the engines, and I'll just keep parts separate, ones that stay and ones that go. But of course that does mean I get a brand new alternator, which is nice. Wow, why does that have power? There shouldn't be any power there. Well, that was interesting. Why does that have power? So, I have the main switch over here turned off so that there's no way that the engine could be started if somebody were to put on the ignition switch or anything like that. There would be no connection to this engine. So I was rather surprised when that alternator did that. But I forgot the alternator is connected to this charge controller up here, which takes solar power and charges the house battery bank. But as well, when the alternator is running, it can take the alternator power and charge the house battery bank, but also the starter battery. And so this is still then connected to the start battery. And that's what caused it to spark like that, because it was actually trying to charge the starting battery. And that's all connected. So thankfully I didn't get electrocuted. You just scared that but Jesus out of me. Ugh, I'm glad the sheets over here are dirty, because you wouldn't be able to tell that they were dirtier. Day 2 of working on the engine removal. I've only just barely gotten started. I was working mostly on the other side of the engine yesterday, and I started working on getting things like the alternator and all that off. This morning I'm going to work on this side. I need to take off some of the cooling hoses. We got the oil cooler, as well as the cooler for the transmission, and I'm going to take the fuel lines off. Here we go. That's a good timing for a wave. Shit. There's the main coolant tank off, which doubles as the exhaust manifold and the intake manifold. Hold that steady here. These are the intake ports, and these are the exhaust ports. And that all feeds inside this heat exchanger here with the coolant, and then the exhaust goes out that pipe and eventually out that big black hose there. So one of the things I didn't record was the thought process I had when I was revealed that the engine was dead and what my next steps were going to be. One of them was just to give up and go home, call it a day, try to sell the boat maybe for around $10,000. But I realized I just wouldn't have enough money to actually do this again with another boat and try all over again. I also thought about getting a remanufactured engine or getting the rebuild kit. The problem with the rebuild kit is I just don't think it would be a reasonable thing to do here on the boat. I mean, if I knew that I was going to be here for another 6 months, then that's something I could work away at and try to do it on the boat, but it would be tricky. If I had a shop that I could use that was really close by, and again, that I knew that I could stay in the United States for a long time, then that would be something that would be considered. But everything around the engine, the main block itself, like I alluded to, the starter, the fuel pump, all of that would still be 40 years old. So I decided to go with the new engine altogether. Unfortunately, it's taking a lot longer than I had hoped to get it. The process started horribly with not being able to transfer money very easily internationally. It would be super easy if I was back home in Canada and could actually walk into my branch and do a wire transfer. It'd be super simple. But unfortunately, it wasn't that easy, and it took a while. There was some problems. But anyways, it took a while to even get the money transferred. So the engine is still going to be quite a while before it actually gets here. The new sales are well on their way, so I'm really looking forward to that. And hopefully they'll be revealed in another few episodes. But I still got a fair bit to catch up on. The episodes are about 2 months behind, I would say, at the moment. So thanks very much, and thanks for sticking around. Really appreciate it. Yeah, here, back to the book.